With details regarding Bray Wyatt's relationship with Vince McMahon revealed and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Talk about how close he came to performing on the Netflix series For Is Lava. Trent Baretta noted how a broken neck was to blame for missing out on this opportunity, telling Wrestling Inc. So that first season of the show, I watched the whole thing. I didn't put it on in the background or anything. I watched the show, paid close attention, and I really wanted to do it. The whole time I was watching, I was like, damn, it'd be so cool for you to get on the show. And we happened to know somebody whose sister worked with Netflix, or I'm not sure the details, but I was so looking forward to it. Then it actually does happen, and my neck was broken at the time, so I couldn't do it. I'm actually so crushed that I wasn't able to do it that I haven't watched yet. And I will, but yeah, I really wanted to do that show, man. That's the big headline out of this. I wanted to do the show. Baretta also touched on his time spent in WWE, as he was asked about his interactions with Vince McMahon. I never worked directly with Vince. I shook his hand in the hallway and I was such a baby when I was there. I was so young. I moved to FCW when I was 20 and debuted on TV at 22, but I think I wasn't ready to be there. So, I mean, overall, it was a good experience though. Nothing bad happened to me or anything. I'm trying to word it correctly. Yeah, that's enough. When asked if there were any hard feelings after being cut from the company, he said no, not at all. I would have fired me too. I probably wouldn't have hired me at 20. Well, some people can do it. Some guys come out of football or whatever and they're 21 years old and it suddenly just wrestling fully clicks with them. But for most guys, it takes 10 years to figure out what you're really doing. Speaking about LA Knight's run on the main roster of WWE, Paul London heaped praise on the star, saying, "I think he's extremely talented. He's a great personality, great on the microphone. He doesn't try to reinvent the wheel. He doesn't try to do anything crazy that is beyond his persona or beyond his limits. I'm not saying he's limited by any means. I mean, he's a physical specimen. He looks great and he works. I really enjoy his work. I haven't seen anything since he's been in WWE. I haven't seen anything of that. I know that they've flipped his name around a couple of times." Talking about the WrestleMania Backlash event having only one women's match, Ronda Rousey noted on her vlog how she wanted to call out the company. "I wanted to call out WWE for only having one women's match out of 6 matches at Backlash. We're more than 1/6 of the company, and I need to do my part and make sure more women are at the forefront. Also, I don't want to say women's in the title anymore. I think they were kind of resistant to taking it out. I was like, can I just not have to say it? That's kind of where it's at." Ronda would also point out potential opponents for a SmackDown Women's title, saying, "Shotzi, Aaliyah, Raquel, Natty, Shayna, Naomi, Sasha. Is that it? That's it. I want to be an active champion. I came back to wrestle so I could wrestle." When asked about AEW's in-ring safety protocols on the Daily Hive, Ethan Page mentioned that there are certain rules in place, but had this to say about his own performances, noting that, "I'm the type that if I'm hurt, guess what? The match stops. I really don't care. There is not an audience member in the crowd that means more to me than my daughter, my son, and my wife. So if I think it's a serious injury, then I'll definitely just count out." As the Good Brothers made their return to WWE on Raw to back up AJ Styles against the Judgment Day, Fightful has details regarding their contracts. As they reported, we're told that Anderson and Gallows were only under a verbal commitment in Japan, and those duties are being allowed to be fulfilled. However, they've officially signed with WWE for what was said to be a big money deal. With a rumored faction for Bray Wyatt potentially in the works, the Wrestling Observer newsletter touched on AEW star Malakai Black being a part of said plans, noting that while obviously this won't happen, there was talk of Aleister Black for this group. Naming a couple potential opponents for him in WWE, Sean Waltman had this to say on Busted Open Radio. Pete Dunne, that guy is excellent. I would really like to have a match with that guy. There's a lot of young blood out there that's really promising that I look at and go, man, if I was 25 or if I was 30, even Austin Theory is another guy I could imagine doing really great things in there with when I was younger. When asked about comparisons made between Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker, Jim Cornette had this to say about it on his podcast. The Bray Wyatt thing. And again, everybody's going, Cornette liked all the supernatural stuff when Undertaker and Kane did it. Actually, no. I particularly didn't like it when they actually called down legitimate lightning. I liked the entrance effects and everything, but the legitimate lightning strikes I thought was a bit much. And I've mentioned that I cringed heavily and hid behind the ring post at Survivor Series out here when Undertaker ascended into heaven on the big screen. But again, much like with wrestling dogs, it's context. The Undertaker, I don't recall having a children's puppet show with puppets of pigs and roosters and anteaters and whatever, with children's voices that other wrestlers had to interact with as if they were real. Do you remember that one from The Undertaker? I don't. I don't understand why people cannot differentiate between silliness and preposterousness and the cool, spooky, supernatural vibe, even when he wasn't doing a supernatural thing that The Undertaker had in that late 90s and 2000s period. Except for the American Badass, I wasn't a big fan of that because The Undertaker was much cooler and better than a mere biker, but at least he took it away from him, so when he gave it back to him, how can we miss you if you won't go away? The real Undertaker was stronger than ever after that, but I still don't remember any children's puppets or, just the whole Firefly Fun House jaunty music. The vibe of the whole thing, it's like, this is damn clown show, and people were interacting with it like it could or would be legitimate. Speaking of the Firefly Fun House, Sean Ross Sapp recently gave an update on potential plans for this, saying Bray Wyatt is set to be a focal point of SmackDown. We're told the mask that they're bringing in for him to use is called an Uncle Howdy mask internally. There are also plans to have the abandoned Firefly Funhouse set aesthetic. During an interview with Wrestle Purists, Melina spoke about a run in WWE where she made a revelation regarding gimmick matches for women in the Divas era. We're blessed to have this contract, this opportunity, and it's not to say that, hey, let me bash the company, whatnot. There's so many structures, like the top person has to delegate to this person and then these people. It's like, it can't be controlled unless it's delegated, so I can't blame the whole entire company, whatever. But this is the thing. There are things within the roster where things should change, but it hasn't. It's still kind of trickling from the years and the decades and the eras prior. Certain attitudes or maybe viewpoints, it's still there. So whatever toxicity, it's slowly getting flushed out, but not fast enough. So when it comes to a coalition or anything where it's like, hey girls, let's get together. We're lucky we have a job, but we don't want to lose our job. And we've seen people come and go. It's like, how do we go about where we keep our job, but kind of like push this in and not get heat? We kind of come together and then it's like, okay, pick your spots and we'd get punished. Our punishment was, hey, here's a lingerie match right after you did something extraordinary. Or here's like, I don't know, a swimsuit match. They would do stuff like that to kind of see what we do. It's like, okay, what are they going to throw at us at this point? In my mind, I turned it into like a game. Like, okay, let's see where they're going to have us do now. Okay, they want to see a reaction to this. Given his recent return to WWE, Bray Wyatt was discussed by Matt Hardy in his podcast, where Hardy noted that Wyatt had a contentious relationship with the former WWE chairman Vince McMahon. Wyndham has always had a very strange relationship with Vince. Very strange. Like, I almost felt like Vince looked at him like a son in some ways. When he would do things that he liked, he would love him, and he would really give him everything that he possibly could give him. He would bend over backwards to try and accommodate him, but then when he did something he didn't like, he hated. Like he was going to lock him away for good. It was almost like a really weird, a really strange and different duality that Vince shared with Bray. When he liked him or loved him, he was all about him. But when he disliked him, oh my god, it was really bad. And he would like punish him and insult him. To me, it was so strange. It was almost like a parent. Talking about Wyatt's creativity, Hardy added that he's just an out-of-the-box thinker. He's also a very interesting person. Some of the material that he reads and studies is stuff that is just really out of the blue, things that you wouldn't expect. He's a very well-versed and educated person and has a lot of interests. I feel like that makes him overly creative in many ways. His thought process of trying to do things new and differently is very unique and very special just to himself. Not a lot of people think like he does. He's very unique, and it really is a very special talent and gift that he has when it comes to being creative. Begun after the bell with Corey Graves, Shawn Michaels touched on changes being brought to WWE currently. I'll be honest, a lot of it is bringing back some people that I felt I was going to miss, that I had a joy working with here, that I believe are talented and can contribute to WWE. That's been one of the biggest things. The other thing is the excitement, and the excitement about moving forward. Morale, you can't beat that. I'll say this, Hunter and I are actually doing all the things that Vince did with us back in the 90s. He was there, he was fun, he was all the things that I think people enjoy about us. That's where we learned it from, to be perfectly honest. He was a fantastic boss. He was a great deal of fun to be around. He wanted to teach. He wanted to share. He was ever so passionate about this. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.